Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the King and Coach podcast. Hopefully, you guys caught our week one, episodes 1 and 2 podcast. I know it ran kind of long, so I split them up into two. Um, just a quick reminder, if you're not watching us on YouTube, you can catch us on Spotify and flip reverse on that. If you're listening to us on Spotify, you can watch us either live on my Twitch or check out our YouTube channel, KCNC Entertainment. Enough of
So
that.
many places to find us.
I know. Spread ourselves around. But real quick, just want to do a recap of our last podcast in case you did not check it out. We talked about some of our predictions for the live series for MLB The Show. So I don't know if you would like to review yours or not. If you'd like to go first, I'll allow you to, I guess.
I oddly enough did not do very well.
Did not. Okay. And how do you mean?
Like things that I thought that would go up, like nobody changed. Literally everything I touched on, nothing happened.
Ouch. So
Yeah, even Tim Anderson, who I assumed would have gotten a huge jump, literally didn't move, which is ridiculous.
yeah, I know some of them. If a player was touched last week, I know some, like if they're not, I want to say like your upper echelon players like that are already like 88s plus. I feel like if they touch them 1 week, they leave them alone for in between weeks. But if I remember correctly, I think they said in their last stream that this last update that we had was supposed to be the last roster update. So I've kind of thought like the rules are kind of thrown out, and it would just be like anybody that deserved an update, it would get it. But I guess not. But like
Yeah, that's kind of how I thought was going to happen, but it did not end up that way.
yeah, so like I went in deep and I did 38 names, all commons all the way to golds. And out of 38, I got 18, which I mean, it's not quite 50%, but like most of them it was like 18 they did actually upgrade, and maybe they went from bronze to silver and all that stuff, but then like the rest they just basically didn't touch. So it wasn't the fact that like I guess that we were wrong, like we thought they were going up and then they went down. I wrote down like a top 10 of like these are locks for sure. I believe that they're going to go up, and I only got 5 out of the 10. Denard on the Braves, I for sure thought he was going to go gold. And I mean, he went from a 77 to a 79. Nimmo went from a 73 to a 77, so I got that one. Alec Bohm on the Phillies went up 74 to 75. Corey Seager went gold to diamond, so that was cool. He went from 84 to 87. Corbett Burns got a slight boost. He went up to an 84. But then, like, I swear, Adam Wainwright, they didn't touch. Will Smith, the Dodgers catcher, didn't go up. Will Myers, they didn't touch. Merrill Kelly, I put on my list. They didn't touch. Jimenez, the shortstop on the Mets, they didn't touch either. So, if there was going to be another update this week, I would assume that some of the guys that we assumed and they didn't touch, they would do it. But like I said, I'm pretty sure they said in their stream that they weren't going to touch these guys anymore.
Yep, it's over.
So I will say the weird part about that I didn't, like I kind of looked into the ones that I said were going up. I didn't really bother too much in the ones going down. But like guys that I thought were too high, there was actually like Arenado, I was right on that. He went down to. I still recommend, if you get him, sell him. Like I think you got him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like Ozzy Albies, I thought he was going to go down. And I mean, he was hurt, so sample size wasn't as good. So he must have had a good week or something. But they actually gave him, I think, a plus. He got a +1. And I was like, really? Like, even his numbers, I think he only went up to like a on base of like 298 or something. So it wasn't anything amazing. So I was just like, that was a real head scratcher for me. And then,
Yeah, that's really bad.
and then like it's the same thing with Cody Bellinger. Like he had maybe a good week. His numbers went up a little bit, but still wasn't anything spectacular. And they made him an 86. So again, I'm like, I don't like these are head scratchers. I don't understand why they're doing this unless like I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe there'll be like a team affinity thing with them in it. Like, are they something along that lines? I highly doubt that they're thinking that way, but I found that really strange.
Yeah, it's one of those things where he probably like had a good average week, so they like gave him a couple points in contact, and that was enough to give him an extra point or something really dumb like that. Even though his overall numbers are shit.
Yeah, he was probably right there on the edge, and like, yeah, I don't know how they do their formulas. I would love to get behind the scenes and figure that out. But yeah, so that's our quick little recap, I guess, on our live updates and such. Hopefully, we still got this podcast going into the next year's game. We'll be able to do this more regularly, and I'll probably be a nerd and start like an Excel sheet and try to figure something out. But always fun to do. Always fun to do and guess our predictions. And me, I just like to one see if I know what I'm talking about, and then two be able to prove it. If somebody does say, you don't know what you're talking about, I can be like, yeah, I do actually. Like, here are my numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the back of my baseball card. But yeah, so one of the things that we had talked about offline, um, I play a lot of showdowns. If you guys follow my stream, you probably know that. With this new one coming out in the game where you can basically repeat it for packs, a lot more people I think are going to be doing the showdowns as well as the showdown extreme. You play BR a decent amount, right?
Yeah. No 12 and O's, but I play it quite a bit.
Okay, so like obviously BR is more for online guys playing against another person, and then the showdowns are just for the offline players playing against computers. So we kind of came up with our own kind of what we're calling the Goon Squad of guys that are kind of underrated, but either their stats line up well with us, or like their hitting is really good, but their defense sucks. So like their rating overall is not great. But when you're playing in BR as a showdown, it's really all about the offense. So we came up with our top guys that we put at each position. King, I'll go ahead and let you go first. Run down your lineup, I guess.
Sure. These are the guys that if I see when I play BR, so I'll talk from the BR perspective. These are the guys that if I see them in a bronze or a silver round, they're auto picks. I don't even look at the other guys. These are the guys I'm scooping and making work. Um, at catcher, even though he's not a catcher and he doesn't really play any actual defense when he is in his primary position, but that left-handed bat in Kyle Schwarber is too nice. And the catcher position as a whole is really bad. So you get that huge power left-handed bat in a struggling position anyways. Like that's an auto pick for me. Edwin Encarnacion at first. He's only a silver last I checked. I don't think he's gone down, but he just absolutely mashes. Same with Moustakis at second, but he's also a left-handed bat, which is always nice to have. Um, I know Kyle23, who's a streamer, loves Freddie Galvis. I am definitely a part of that train. Um, he plays way above his bronze level for whatever reason. I don't know if it's his swing. I don't know if it's just he's glitchy or what it is, but he hits bombs for me, and it's silly.
Yeah, I think he's a little glitchy because I think he's like a bronze guy or something. But yeah, he's for me like in the showdowns, he's one of those guys that I don't even have to draft him because he might be an option, post picks or whatever. But yeah, I like him too.
Yeah, and then Sano, you know what you get with Sano. He hits absolute bombs. And then left, which is a weird pick. I am one of the few people that like his swing. Um, I actually used him at left for a while in the early game. Justin Upton. He's recently got downgraded. He's a bronze now, but for whatever reason, I match with him. It's kind of odd, but he's my pick at left. Center, um, got two picks. Neither one of them plays center, but I usually throw Randall Grichuk there or Hunter Renfro. If I see either one of those, they are automatics for me. I actually was surprised that Grichuk didn't end up making it to gold this year. He has had a pretty solid season.
Yeah, same.
And right, I got Jorge Soler. he's one of those guys. I mean, anybody that plays BR, if you see Solaire, they're grabbing him. It's just, it is what it is. With that 90s plus power against righties, like he just hits bombs.
Yeah, that like there's a few of those guys like yeah, Solaire, Upton. I don't know if his injuries have kind of derailed his career or what because he's always one of those guys where like beginning of the year I buy a handful of him because I'm like he's a good player. If he stays healthy, he'll bounce back. And like once again, I don't know if he's like putting up the average or what, but I was surprised to see him go all the way down to a bronze. Like in terms of like the showdowns or whatever, where you get kind of leftover bronze and commons players, sometimes you get lucky and he's there, and he's definitely a card that I like to use on my bench, or if I didn't have any outfielders, I'll start him as well. But yeah, like Solaire, he kind of falls in that same thing with like Bruce, like Jay Bruce. Like even if say you have like good rounds or whatever, and you get like golds or diamonds or whatever in your outfield, it's nice to have those type of guys that can basically be like your DH for like your pitcher or whatever. Or like if you're in, one of those 3 extra base hits or whatever, and you have like 2 innings to do, like those are kind of like stud guys to have. For my lineup, I agree with King. Anytime I see Schwarber, I go ahead and take him and I use him as my catcher because there's just not a lot of luck or catchers that are really any good in terms of these like drafting teams and such. Like if you had a choice of, building your whole roster or whatever in like events or something, like I've talked about him before, but the Darnold guy or whatever on the Braves, he's 79, so he's technically a really high silver, but I don't think I've ever had him pop up in a draft of mine, so can't really say him, but yeah, I like to get Schwarber as my catcher. Muncy I like to put at first base, just another power bat, but he also kind of has that versatility. So, some days it's like absolutely just murder the ball with him and I crush. And then other days it's like no matter what I do, I'm just rolling over or whatever. But I mean, he can play like I think second and third base. So, early on when you're still building your squad up, he's a nice piece to be able to like rotate around depending on who you have. Kind of falls in line with that as well. My next guy at second base, Moustakas. So technically he's a second baseman, power guy, but I mean you can put him at first, you can put him at third. Same thing, just massive power. Whenever I look at him in real life, yeah, he's a power guy. I always, I like him at third. But I don't like guys that are kind of like super slow and supposed to be in the middle of your like infield or whatever. But again, this is showdowns, this is BR. It's kind of all about power at this point because you have limited of outs and such like that. In terms of shortstop, I went with Dansby Swanson. I don't know. I can't remember how good a year he's having. I feel like he's having a decent year. I think he's good. He just always seems to have a solid insider edge. Like I think he's pretty well balanced on both sides, but every time he always seems to have like at least a +2. Or sometimes I think I've seen him up to like a +6 insider edge. So like he's got both that contact power and he's got some speed. So I like to roll with him. In terms of third basemen, I really like hitting with Moncada. Like he's a 76, but most of my guys, like I tend to go heavy on the lefties just because you're more than likely going to get the righties. But I don't know. To me, he's got like I think he's like a 77 or like a 75, 70 against righties or something. But I just rake with him, and usually he has a nice little insider edge. I think lately in the season he's been struggling recently, but still, silver card. This is a Goon Squad. We're not talking about diamonds here. So, and then the next two guys are probably like my all timers Goon Squads. So, Winker on the Reds. I legit will have like I did a showdown yesterday, and he was my 3 hitter. We're talking a 76 silver that usually has a decent insider edge. And I have him as my 3 hitter over like golds and diamonds because I don't know how you feel about him, but he's an absolute glitch card for me.
Oh, he matches. There's no doubt about it.
Like even days when I can't hit with anybody else, he's the guy that saves my ass 10 times out of 10. Like he'll always be the guy that gets me that clutch hit or that home run. And then the guy that had left our Goon Squad rankings but is now back, Mr. Happ on the Chicago Cubs. He dropped down from, I think he was an 80 gold to back down to a 78 silver. So I know he absolutely rakes. I think righties, but he is a switch hitter, so he had that added benefit. And I think he can play like I think all outfield and like I think second base or something. So he's got some like good versatility too. But he's another one of those guys where even if he's a silver, he always seems to like make it to my end final showdown, and he's still in the lineup. I just crush with him. So he's another one of those all timers. Um, right field, it was kind of tough for me because I feel like I rotate guys. Like I mentioned before, Jay Bruce, and he's kind of my backup here. I feel like I rotate guys depending on how I'm hitting. So yeah, like Soler, Jay Bruce. Like there's a bunch of guys there, like Franmil Reyes, um, Mancini. He's just pretty well balanced, wherever. But if I had to pick any of them, or all, if I had my choice of the bunch, I'm actually going with Randall Grichuk. And to me, this is actually one of like early on. I feel like he might have even been like a bronze or something, but he's kind of like consistently performed this year. He's done really well, and I feel like they've slightly boosted him up. That he's now up to a 78, and as King was saying, like I could have easily seen him gone gold this year, as well as the Blue Jays have performed this year. But if I had to pick anyone, it would be Randall Grichuk out there in right field.
Speaking of him going gold, big sad. I have like 60 of them.
Do you really?
Yeah, I've been slowly like buying them, just waiting for it to happen, and it never happened.
That's a bummer. Yeah, I mean, like, I think I'm going back and forth with a couple people about like, oh, what about like they do something in the playoffs, but about like the updates, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure this was the last like live roster update. If they do a playoff one, it's more like, how they kind of rotate guys to like free agents because they're off like their 40 man or whatever. Like I'm like I think they kind of do like that, and then they might add some players that aren't in the game yet. But I don't think there's any more live series updates going forward. So all those 60 Randall Grichuks or whatever, I guess just hold on to them and wait for Stage 4 Team Affinity, because I know me. This is why I have so many packs that I need to open today. I hit that stuff hard these last couple of nights trying to get through some of these Team Affinities that I haven't finished yet. And I've noticed like, oh crap, I didn't realize I had 10 of this guy. Or, oh man, I really thought this guy was going to take off, and he's just sitting here.
Oh yeah, Grichuk will be used in my AL East exchanges to get like the Yankees or somebody, whoever has the card that I want the quickest. Like
Yeah.
that'll be what he's used for.
Do you have
For
any?
sure.
Do you have any insider news or anything on the Team Affinities, or who do you think they're gonna release in Stage 4? Do you have any ideas?
Stage 4, I think, is just going to be finest cards. So they'll choose probably one guy from each team to give a juiced 99 to based on this year. Or they'll use previous year's guys, like kind of like that J Ram that we got in the 99s in the prestige packs. It'll be something like that.
I love
Each
that.
team will get one.
I love that J Ram card. You pick for like the Astros if you had to pick one for a finest card, I guess.
For a finest card, for like that's what's tough. It'll probably end up having to be like there's not really anybody you can use for this year because everybody had a down year.
Yeah. I was wondering if they would like instead of it being a one thing for that stage, like we had our future stars and then the face of the franchise or whatever. I almost wish they would like mix it up and like one team, yeah, they might have finest, and then another one might have like a signature series card, and then another one might be like a playoff series card, because I don't feel like they have a lot of those. Where
Yeah, I
like
have a feeling it'll have to be like like they basically give Bregman like a juiced card from like last year where he almost won the MVP.
that'd be cool. Like there's certain teams that they have such a historic franchise and they've been around for a while. It just kind of comes down to rights. And I know one of the cards that I would personally love to have, being a Cardinals fan, is I would love to have that like postseason David Freese card. But since he's now retired, I don't know if they even have the rights to him anymore. So
yeah, and then the problem with like the Astros, they've only been around like 60 years. So there's only so many people, and they already blew their load with Bagwell and BGO. So like they don't really have anybody else to go back to.
yeah, like I know it's been nice that they got the rights to like the prospects and such for like franchise, even though I feel like most people don't play it anyway. But they've done plenty of the future stars cards or whatever for prospects. So I'm like, please don't give us any more of that stuff. Give us some, the playoff series, signature series. Introduce a new card. All I care, but like now it kind of comes down to, okay, who do we have the rights to? Who's a cool player or whatever that we have the rights to? Like I know we were sitting, I think, in Thrasher's chat the other day, and we were talking about like when stuff was going to be released. Like I think we have 5 days, and then the ninth inning starts, and they're not. That's all going to be that week's going to be the hype for that. So then maybe the week after that, that's when the Stage 4 Team Affinity stuff will pop out. But I mean, it just feels like there's so many players that are still have not been released, and we're not going to get 20 bosses to pick from. So they got to come out in this Team Affinities. But I don't know. It's something that I like to think about, and I'm excited for. But the way that some of these Tops Now series things are going through,
I'm super worried that Stage 4 is going to be a letdown.
Yeah.
Not to be a Debbie Downer, but it just feels like, because like we don't have Griffey yet, but I could not see him being the Mariners Stage 4 guy, because that'd be literally everybody's gonna have Griffey in like the first day.
Yeah, like there's walking that fine line of everyone's kind of favorite players, like like the Griffies, that like you want people to have so they can enjoy it, but at the same sense you don't want to make it too easy. But if it is super hard, like I think you had mentioned or someone else had mentioned, like if it was a World Series reward to get like a signature series Griffey, well then players like me are never gonna be able to do it, and then we're probably just gonna. I mean, I'll still probably play because whatever. There's plenty of players and cards out there that I'm gonna enjoy. But some of those players are gonna be like, well, screw this, I'll go play Madden, or screw this, something else came out, I'll go play that. I really wanted to play with Griffey, now I can't, so buy a game.
Yeah, it's tough.
But yeah, I'm kind of going into it with kind of limited expectations. I'm hoping they knock it out of the park, but it's kind of like movies in general. Like if you walk in and you're like, oh my god, it's gonna be the best thing, it's never gonna live up to expectations. But if you go in like, I think it'll be a good movie, but I'm not, it's a Disney movie or it's a whatever Marvel movie, you kind of know what you're gonna get, and you go in with reasonable expectations. Then like if they do a great job, you're like, oh my god, that was amazing, I really enjoyed myself. Where if you're looking for the stars, you're always going to be disappointed. So Hey guys, this is Coach. I just want to say thank you for listening to our podcast. This was actually recorded live on my Twitch account, the coaches_BA. You can also follow King over on Twitch. His username is king_Christoph300. Or if you'd like to watch any of our other videos, we do have a YouTube channel, KC&C Entertainment. Perhaps you're too busy and on the go? That's okay. You can find our other podcast episodes over on Spotify. All you gotta do is search the King and Coach Podcast.